Hello and welcome. My name is Lexi Jong, and today we are going to do a couple of things. So we're going to take a look at what I purchased from the Sephora sales, so my haul, and then we're also going to take a look at BK Beauty brushes. And they were kind enough to send me one of their sets, so we will go through those. I've been testing them out for a few months now, here and there. And I've really gone through each of the brushes, many times. So I'll give you my thoughts and comparisons on those. So let's start off with the haul. So first off, I want to start with something a little disappointing from my haul, and that is the Beauty Blender Black Charcoal Soap. And I pick this up every year. This is my current one, and I was going to pick up a backup. Now, this container doesn't say how large it is. It doesn't say the product amount on the bottom here. I threw away the lid, so perhaps it was on there. But, it comes with a little silicone pad in there. I'm sorry, mine's really kind of gross. But I have to clean that up. But I ordered a backup, and this is what I got. So it was actually included in my sample bag. It's like, oh, I got a sample of this. And then I was looking all over my box for the actual soap. And I did notice that the price was, somewhere a little bit more than half of what it used to be. I want to say that this used to be like $30, $35, and now it was like $18. I was like, okay, maybe it's a little smaller. I had no idea that this was going to be the size of it. I mean, this is kind of ridiculous. So I'm disappointed in the size. I literally thought this was a sample in here, like a deluxe sample. Now, just to see inside here, I had to get that sticker off. You do still get a silicone mat. And then this is the soap. So it is significantly smaller. One of the things that I actually really liked about the other soap is it's actually like concave. So it's like perfect to swirl your brush in. This is going to be like a flat disc. It is significantly smaller than the previous size. And I'm not happy about that. Just for reference, this is 1 ounce, and this is, gotta be at least somewhere over 3 ounces, somewhere between 3 and 5. It had the concave shape, but, I still have more than an ounce of product left in here. That's just ridiculous. Now, I have to say that my Sephora haul is not going to be the most interesting haul. I ordered all 6 of the Armani blushes, and I just put the video for that up. I think these are really nice. I think they are a great product. Honestly, I feel like they could have done something a little bit better with this packaging, because the opening, it's fine, but it does, it's a little sharp. So, whatever, a nitpicky detail. But overall, I have to say I love these. I think they're well worth the price. And moving on, I picked up some skincare items such as this. This is from Soleil Toujours, and this is a SPF skincare line. And my friend Jennifer at Just Glow Firefly, she swears by this. She lives on the beach, so I wanted to try this out. This is the Mineral Ally Eye Glow and Illuminator, and it has SPF 15, so it's an eye cream. And I love SPF eye creams, but I find like it's really hard to find a really good one. I typically use the Supergoop one, which for me, it's just okay, but I'm always on the hunt for something better. And I also picked up their Mineral Ally Daily Defense Sunscreen. This is actually a body lotion. So this is a daily body lotion with SPF 30 in it. They have a tinted or untinted version. I grabbed the untinted since I am so pale. And I would love to have like something that feels like a body lotion instead of feeling like sunscreen that I can wear every day, and something that I can easily put on my kids that they won't fuss about. I make them wear sunscreen to school every day, so at least on their faces. So I'd love to have something more all over body that isn't a greasy mess. And I also picked up their SPF 15 lip mask. So this is their lip balm, and Jen, she told me that they also have these in colors. They just don't have them on the Sephora website. She said the ones with the colors are better than this one, but I wanted to try this one out anyway. So I grabbed those. I also really got interested in some of the shampoo and conditioner bars. So I picked up a couple different options. This is the Viore one. This is the shampoo bar, conditioner bar, and bamboo holder. So it's a little set that they have. And I picked the unscented version. So let's see. Wow. Okay, so you can see the bamboo holder here, but I can't lift it out like this. So just give me a sec. So this is the bottom of it. You can see you've got drainage holes here. Here's our lid. I'm sure that will fit more securely later. So this is going to be our shampoo bar. And then this is the conditioner bar. So that is going to be square. Let's just take a look. I mean, I love the way this comes packaged. I think that's beautiful. And then this is the shampoo bar. So they've got different fragrances that you can get, or the unscented. Now there are some differences in which ones for which hair type. So I went directly to their website to kind of research, and I decided to pick the unscented. And I have to say, it has a little bit more of like one of those milk oatmeal bar kind of scents. Very, very subtle. You don't really notice it. Definitely doesn't really smell like it is fragranced. And yeah, this will be a nice holder to keep everything in the shower. And I also want to try the Super Zero ones. So they have triangles for their shampoo bars, and again, more of a square shape for the conditioner bars. So I picked up, you know, 2 shampoos. I picked up the solid purple shampoo because I'm actually in the need for a purple shampoo. I don't know if it's in the need, you know, sometimes I'll use one, sometimes I won't, but I don't have one at the moment. So this is what those look like. And this one smells like lavender, and it comes with a little bag, which I'm just throwing around. So it's called the Shampoo Bar Savior Bag. And it says on here that they can break with continued use, but a previously loved bar is just as good as new. Use this bag for your broken pieces so that nothing goes to waste and your hair gets exactly what it deserves from your bar. Conveniently hangs from hooks, knobs, or faucets in your shower. So yeah, basically it says on here, you just put all your broken pieces in here, and you know, you can lather it through the bag so that you're not wasting anything. So I think that's a nice touch. Now, just some things to note about these. This set here says that you get up to 60 washes per bar. So 1 Viore bar of shampoo is equal to 3 10-ounce bottles of shampoo, whereas the Super Zero says that 1 bar is equal to 2 8.4-ounce bottles. So I have to say, I was just really curious about these and how these perform compared to more traditional shampoos and conditioners. I've tried shampoo bars. As I was saying before, I knocked everything over. I've tried shampoo bars in the past, and I haven't really found them to be fantastic. I've found a lot of times there's like more of a coating that you get on your hair, or it doesn't feel very clean or whatever. But I've heard that, you know, they've come a long way since I have last tried them. It's been, you know, 5 or 6 years since I've tried them. So I'm very eager to test these out, and let me know if you're curious on my thoughts on those. And then we also have a few makeup items. So again, I wasn't going to pick this up. This is the new Guerlain Terracotta Luminizer that came out. This is limited edition, and I wasn't going to get it because it looked like it was too dark in their photos. But since it was on sale and it was at Sephora, I decided might as well. So this is the ivory one. Let's go ahead and swatch this real quickly. So it is kind of more of a soft champagne. You definitely have some warmer gold tint to it. I'll have to test this out and see how it compares to my favorite Guerlain Meteorites Pearl Dust palette. Can already tell the texture of this is very different. That's a bit more powdery. This is very firmly pressed in comparison. And then this is one of the Guerlain Rouge G lipsticks in shade 23. This was recommended to me by a viewer, so I wanted to pick this one up. And there's that. Let's go ahead and swatch this one as well. Ooh, look at that. I have to say, it looks warm in the bullet. You know, it actually looks kind of like it has a bit more of a warmer tint to it, like a warmer burgundy, but it's definitely a cool tone berry there. That looks stunning. I can't wait to try that one. And then I really wanted to pick up a couple more Valentino blushes in shades 1 and 2, but unfortunately they were sold out and they did not restock during the sale. However, between this sale and the last Sephora sale, I picked up some Valentino lipsticks, so I'll have a video with these sometime. So I picked up a whole bunch of shades. So I've got some mattes and some satins. These are mostly going to be pinks. I've got the shade Poudre, Pink Boesia, Sweet Pastel, and Romance with You. And then I also have the Dream Dust. This is the lip and cheek loose glitter. So I was just kind of curious about using this, particularly on the lips with the lipsticks. So to try this out. I'm not a huge loose glitter person, so I thought it would be fun to try. And then I also picked this up during the last sale, but I haven't gotten a chance to try this yet. But these are the Rose Ink lipsticks, and it's 3 travel sizes in the shades Enigmatic, Poetic, and Alluring, which was a limited edition shade. I don't know if that's still available, but I picked up one of their shades previously, and I liked the formula, so I thought I'd give that a try. And then my other item that I picked up was the Dior Backstage palette in the cool neutrals. So I know this is not new, and a lot of people encouraged me to try this. I've had mixed thoughts on the Dior Backstage palettes, but I have to say this one does look very pretty. It's a little bit more pink than I thought. I thought it was more like cooler taupes, but it's really more like taupey pinks. So curious to see how this is. And yeah, let me know if you're interested in seeing that one. All right, so that's it for my Sephora haul. I'd love to know what you ended up picking up. There were some more things I was going to get, but I ended up making some large purchases this month, such as the fragrance purchases, so I decided to be good. And yeah, I'm happy with everything I picked up, aside from this Beauty Blender soap, which really, took me by surprise. Perhaps I'm going to be switching to Phil's Naphtha, perhaps in the future, so we'll see. But let's go ahead and move on to the BK Beauty brushes, and I have to say, they are really nice. So BK Beauty sent me their core set. And I have been testing these out basically, since the new year. And this one here is the 101 foundation brush. And I have to say, I really like it. So it has a nice angle here. It's dense, it's soft, and it works really well for foundation. I particularly love this brush for underpainting. So if you, put on your products and then you want to pat the foundation on top, this is gentle enough to pat, but you can also swipe. It's a very versatile brush. It's dense enough to move foundation when you want it to, but it has enough softness that depending on the pressure you use, you don't have to, it's not necessarily going to move your products underneath. So I think this is a really nice brush. Take a look at the brush shape here. And I do have a clip using this. Now, just a little bit about BK Beauty. BK Beauty was started by Lisa J Makeup from YouTube, and she was a MAC professional makeup artist, and she was actually a trainer. So she would teach like the makeup artists how to do the makeup and so forth. And I know I followed her on YouTube when I was younger and so forth, but I don't know her. I haven't had conversations with her or anything like that. And I have always been interested in her brushes, but since I tend to focus more on natural hair, it's just something that I haven't really, looked at too much. And I was very happy that they ended up sending these to me. The BK stands for Brooklyn and Kate, which are her daughter's names. And they also make a donation with every purchase, because their whole, philosophy is be kind. So there is always going to be some sort of donation made to inspire kindness. So the BK Beauty brushes are 100% cruelty-free, vegan, synthetic brushes. And I am waiting to hear back on where exactly the brushes are made, but her makeup that she also sells is made in Canada. So just something to note there. And as you could see through the demo, it puts the foundation on beautifully. I've been using this a lot for my foundation. It's one that I really like a lot. So just a few quick comparisons. This here is the Sonia G Jumbo Base. So you can see we also have kind of this curved, shape here on one side, a little bit flatter on the other. It is not going to be obviously as drastic. And you can see that the Sonia G is going to have a little bit less movement. So it's slightly more dense. It's a little bit more compacted. That's going to be mostly due to the fact that the BK Beauty has longer hairs here compared to the Sonia G. Now, just something to note, the Sonia G is a mix of 2 different types of synthetic fibers as well as undyed goat hair. It's one of the Fusion series brushes, whereas these are going to be all synthetic. Now, this is an old brush. They don't sell this anymore. It was the angled foundation brush from Kevyn Aucoin. And they have since redone his brush line, but I did want to show you how the angles on here on these combine. This is completely synthetic as well. We do have shorter fibers here, making this slightly more dense, but it is going to have a very similar action on the face because we do have a similar ratio. This is, again, is going to be a little bit more of a drastic angle, but because it does have a more drastic angle than the Sonia G, they are going to have a more similar result on the skin. So this will just be a little bit softer in application. Now, as we're going through and looking at all of the brushes, I do have some demos that I'll be showing while I'm talking about these brushes. This one here is the 102. So this is going to be a powder brush. You can see that it is domed. We have kind of this roundish shape here, and it's pretty large. This is going to work very well for dusting loose powder on, or if you want a very light coating of pressed powder. It works really well for powdering your face. So I have to say, this is definitely a very large powder brush. You can see if you want to cover a large area very quickly, this is going to be very good for that. Now, I don't have a ton of comparisons. Your traditional powder brush in the natural hairline is typically going to be a little bit smaller. So let's take a look at some larger ones that I have. This one here is the F09 from Chikuhodo. You can see that our shape here is definitely much more square. It's going to be boxier, and they both have an oval ferrule, but because of the shape of the bristles, this seems like it's slightly more pinched. So that's going to create a slightly different shape. Also, if you look at the way that the fibers are arranged, we have a larger slant on the BK Beauty. So overall, this is going to be a little bit wider in the Chikuhodo, but the BK Beauty 102 is going to be longer. We also have the Chikuhodo T1 or Takumi brush. This is undyed goat hair, and you can see that this is actually going to be slightly larger. And again, we don't have as much of the curvature on the sides as we do with the BK Beauty, but they are going to be fairly comparable in size. So this is how the T1 will perform versus the BK Beauty. Now, because we have a bit more angling here, it is going to give you a slightly airier finish. And next we have the Rephr 25. And you can see here that actually our brush shape and size here is going to be very, very close. This is my closest match. You can see that the sizes are pretty similar. Our actual ferrules here are slightly a little bit more narrow in the BK Beauty compared to the Rephr, which is going to be a little bit more rounded. And again, we have slightly more angling of the hairs here compared to the Rephr, but they're going to be pretty close. So you can see here, this is slightly, it's slightly wider brush, so it's not going to be quite as airy, but it is going to be similar. Again, the Rephr is undyed goat hair versus synthetic. Moving on to brush 103, and they're actually calling this the bronzer brush, but for me, for somebody who doesn't always use bronzer, I think this is great for a variety of purposes. You could use this as a smaller powder brush. You could use this for one of those like really light blushes that, you don't need to be as precise with. You could even use this for contour if you're doing something very light and smudged out. Because you do have kind of a more pinched ferrule here, creating a little bit more of a narrow space if you turn it on its side. Now let's go ahead and take a look at some comparisons. So I'm gonna start off with the Rephr. This is the P22 or 22, sorry. I think mine was a testing version originally. And this is going to be my closest comparison, but you can see that the Rephr is going to be a bit wider than the BK Beauty. Again, shape is similar, but we do have a little bit more angling going on here on the BK Beauty. And then the smaller version of the Rephr is the 24. And just so you can see the size difference here. And because of this, this was going to be much more dense. So you can see the difference between those two. Moving on, this is the Sonia G Jumbo Bronzer, which is going to be a very similar shape. But notice that this will fan out a bit more. You've got more of this V shape here compared to the Jumbo Bronzer, which is going to stay a little bit more compacted. And we do have a very similar shape overall, but notice that the BK Beauty, our fibers start to get longer here. and we have a steeper incline, whereas here we're looking at this and it's going to be more gradual. Moving on to the 104, this is a tapered powder brush. You can see we've got this great angling going on here. This is great for putting powder into smaller, narrow spaces. You could also use this for blush. You could even use the very tip for highlight, unless you really need to be, very exact about where you're putting it, because it is a little bit wide there. So overall, it's a really nice, versatile brush. And I don't have a lot of comparisons, so let's take a look. I don't have one quite like this. So this is a Chikuhodo KZ3. This is a cheek highlighter brush. It is discontinued. This is the closest I have in shape, but you can see that overall it's much smaller. They both have the round ferrule. They both have the tapering edges. And yeah, I mean, look at the size difference on my face. So this is how this will swirl versus the KZ3, which is made out of Kazan squirrel. And then this is the Surratt powder brush. So you can see that this is going to be more of a flatter top brush. It doesn't have quite the tapering. It is still going to be domed. And sizing, diameter-wise, the Surratt is going to be a little bit larger, but they are fairly close. The length of the bristles are pretty close. The BK Beauty is slightly longer at the tip. Now you can see when looking at this, because of the tapering, you're getting an airier performance compared to the Surratt, where they're pretty much all the same length, so they're going to stay together. Now the 105 is a buffing brush. You could use this for powders. I actually like this though for liquids. This is another one that I like for foundation. You can see that it's pretty large. And you've got more of a flat top. You do have a little curvature on the edges, which kind of helps buff things out as well. And take a look at this in the demo. I think one of the best things about this brush is that it's very versatile. You can use this with liquids, creams, powders, and it really does a nice job of buffing products into the skin. You've got a great density there. So if you're looking for a dense buffer brush, this is a great one. Because of the large size, you're looking at something where you're going to buff things kind of all over. So this would be great, for example, with Guerlain Meteorites, or as I like to use it with a foundation, or one of those glow products that you put on underneath a foundation. I have a couple of comparisons here. We have the Chantecaille. This is a buff and blur, which is also synthetic. You can see it's also a flat top, but we don't have that curvature that we have on the BK Beauty. You can see the size comparison, and this is the Buffer Pro from Sonia G, which is going to be pretty comparable in size to the Chantecaille. So just so you can see the size difference. Again, the Sonia G, this is going to be dyed goat hair. This is going to be only used with powders. So kind of depends what you're looking for. Moving on to the 106, you can see this is going to be a smaller designed round ferrule brush. We have mostly a almost flat top, but it is technically domed. And let's take a look at the demo here while we talk about this one. So they're actually calling this the round foundation brush. This is going to be great if you are somebody who likes to use concealer in spots and kind of spread that out to use that as your base product for the day. This is also great if you want to get into smaller areas or even for contour. So I really like this for like cream, contour, and bronzer products as well. So, and this is also a great one for cream blush in my opinion. So overall, I think it's a pretty versatile brush, and again, because of the synthetic fibers, you can use this with pretty much anything. I have two similar brushes to take a look at. The first up is, one is from Sydney Grace, and you can see that they are going to be pretty comparable. Sydney Grace is also going to be synthetic, and you can see it's pretty dense. The Sydney Grace actually has less movement than the BK Beauty, which is going to just be slightly airier in texture. And then we have the Sonia G. This is the classic base, which again is one of the Fusion series brushes. You can see that it's slightly shorter, the Sonia G, but we do have a similar shape. And overall, the Sonia G is ever so slightly smaller in diameter, but they're pretty close. And because the BK Beauty is all synthetic, it's a little bit airier. So it fans out a little bit more in this shape, whereas the Sonia G will stay a little bit more compacted. This one here is the 107. You can see we have a pinch ferrule. We have a bit more of a rectangular shape here. So let's take a look at this one. This is actually the flat brush. And again, this one I think works well if you want to paint something on. However, it is a little fluffy for that, so it depends what you want to use. This works really well with the Danessa Myricks Yummy Skin products, particularly the Yummy Skin powder base or the actual liquid foundation, where you just want to use a tiny dot and kind of blend that out. It works really well with fluffy brushes. So something like this would be really great for that. And this also works really well with powder products. Again, for me, blush, bronzer, I think those are going to be the primary uses for this brush. Now let's take a look. I've got just two comparisons for this one. We have the Rephr 05, which is similar-ish, but you can see the Rephr's fluffier. We have a little bit more curvature on the Rephr, whereas this we're going straight up here and we don't start curving until the very end here. So slightly different shapes here, comparable in size though. And then a little bit more similar in shape, but much smaller is the cheek brush from the Sonia G Lotus series. And yeah, you can see the difference there. Now this Lotus series brush, this is the undyed goat hair, but there's a dyed goat version called the Cheek Pro, and that's the same brush shape from Sonia G, but you can see overall it's going to be much smaller. Moving on to 108, you can see we have a small domed powder brush. This is going to be very similar to the 104, but it is going to be a much smaller version of it. Now, this is the Precision Powder Brush. This is something that's really great if you want to powder under the eye or around the nose in tiny crevices. This can also be used really effectively for highlight. And that is my preference for this particular brush. I think it's a great highlight brush. Now, my best comparison is the Sonia G Mini Cheek, but you can see that the shape here, we have a pinch ferrule. This is going to be a little bit more fan-like compared to the round ferrule on the BK Beauty. BK Beauty is also going to be a little bit longer. I just don't have anything quite similar enough. Just one more comparison here. This is the Sonia G Detail Pro, which is also going to be a round ferrule, but notice it's not tapered. We have more of a flat top, but we do have a round ferrule, also significantly smaller. Next, let's move on to the eye brushes. We'll look at the eye brush demos kind of all together. But first, let's take a look at the shapes. This is the 201. My closest comparison here is the Esom V34. Notice they're both kind of about the same size, and they both have a relatively flat top. The Esom V34 is also synthetic. The diameter is slightly larger with the Esom. Now with the 202, notice that this is going to be a little bit more tapered on the sides. It's not going to be quite as flat. My closest comparison is the Rephr 15. You can see again, the diameter is slightly larger with the Rephr 15, but other than that, the size and shape is pretty comparable. Brush 203 is a shader style brush. Now notice this one it has a bit more of a square shape, but it's rounded at the top. My closest comparisons are the Sonia G Builder, which is not going to have quite the fluffiness that we have there. You can see this stays a little bit more stiff compared to the BK Beauty. That roundedness helps you get into the crease if you want to use just one brush, or it's kind of like a miniature version of this Tancedo brush. And I'm not sure what this is. This came in a set of 4. But you can see that this particular size has a very similar shape to it. My smaller one is slightly different. Now here is the next size down with the Tancedo brush, and it's actually a better match for the 204. The 204 is going to be smaller, but you notice the shape here is going to be similar. Now, because the 204 is significantly shorter, this is going to be stiff. It's going to be really great for edging around the eyes, whereas this Tancedo one, although similar shape, is going to be better for laying down like liquid and cream products on the lids or anything sparkly. But notice it compared to the 203. You can see how different those are. This is the 205. I don't have one quite like this, so I don't have a comparison, but notice we have a little bit more, almost like an angled fan kind of shape here. Very nice brush. You know, it's useful to get the angles. You can definitely use this for eyeshadow, but I also think it's really great if you want to add, you know, like if you're cleaning up an eye look, this is a great brush for that. You know, adding a little highlight or something there as well. I think it's very useful. Now 206 is called a blending shader. Now notice the shape here is going to be very similar to 203, but it's going to be a little bit larger, making it a little bit fluffier. The 207 here is a domed pencil brush. You can see this is going to be great for smudging shadow and so forth. My closest comparison in size and shape is this Esom V31. Again, this is synthetic as well. They're very, very similar, but notice the Esom has more of a triangular shape, a pyramidal shape at the top compared to the BK Beauty, which is going to be flatter. And the 208 is going to be an angled liner brush. Notice it's very, very thin. So I think that's actually really great. I think a lot of times they're a little bit too large for me. This is very precise and it's really easy to get a wing or something like that with this. So I really like this one. So let's take a look at the demos on these while we talk a little bit about my thoughts on the BK Beauty brushes. So after trying these for a few months, I have to say that I do think these are really great synthetic brushes. If you have been looking for synthetic vegan brushes, or if you are perhaps looking for somebody who is starting their brush journey, I think this is a really great set. Or, individuals, these are sold individually as well, and they have a variety of different sets on the website. And there are more brushes than what I have here. They have so many to choose from. I have to say that the synthetic fibers that they use are very soft, easy to use. Typically a synthetic fiber, if you think about like a hair cuticle, for something very smooth, those cuticles are kind of flattened and, in that case, products can kind of slip off, making them a little bit harder to use. Some of the newer synthetic fibers have been making gains into that to kind of, create something more similar to a natural hair bristle, which will naturally, depending on the type of hair and so forth, have a variation in how smooth that cuticle is and how much product gets essentially attached to the bristle. So I would say that these are still going to be relatively smooth. They're great to apply any type of product, liquid, cream, synthetic. They work very well. I think they are very soft, and overall, I think they've got shapes and sizes to suit everybody. And I think that's one of the best things about this line is that they've really, kind of taken into account what customers are looking for and, perhaps trying to fill some niches that perhaps have not quite been met with some other brands. A lot of times, if you are looking at your traditional brush brands, we're looking at the same shapes over and over and over, either with different fibers or different handles and so forth. And this time we have some brushes that perhaps work a little bit better for hooded eyes or smaller eyes. For example, the Angie Hot and Flashy set, which I don't have, they have, brushes that are meant more for, hooded eyes and smaller areas and so forth. And I think that is something really great to see. And overall, I have to say that I think these are definitely a great brand to invest in if you are looking for synthetic brushes. Now, personally, these are definitely ones that I will be continuing to use. But my preference for these is going to be more with creams and liquids, and with my powders and so forth, I still prefer using my natural hair fibers personally, and that's just a personal preference. But I think these are really great. Thank you so much to BK Beauty for sending these to me, and yeah, I don't think you can really go wrong. So thank you so much for tuning in. Let me know what you ended up picking up from Sephora, what you think of my haul. I know it's a little bit smaller than I usually have for a Sephora haul, but I feel like the timing just wasn't quite right. Everything kind of launched before the Sephora haul or not quite yet. So we're kind of like in that middle period right now. So thanks so much for tuning in. I'd love to hear your thoughts down below in the comments, and have a wonderful day.